I think Meghan is is an absolute nightmare of a woman, and
Yeah.
I do have my suspicions that he ended up with her out of, some sort of trauma.
What if I told you that the entire Hollywood image Meghan Markle built every polished appearance, every tear-filled interview, every carefully crafted narrative was nothing more than a long con built on borrowed influence, shattered friendships, and silence so calculated it makes betrayal look like strategy. From the outside, it looked like a royal escape story, Meghan and Harry fleeing the crown's shadow, embraced by Hollywood royalty like Tyler Perry, cheered on by loyal friends like Jessica Mulroney, and celebrated as underdog icons were writing the rulebook. But behind the scenes, the cracks were forming, the smiles were forced, and the support system they relied on was being used up and discarded the moment it no longer served their image. And now, after a $260 million lawsuit threatens to destroy Tyler Perry's legacy and Meghan refuses to say a single word, and Jessica finally breaks her silence after years of loyalty and silence, the truth is hitting harder than ever. Meghan didn't just cut ties, she weaponized relationships, leveraged loyalty, and built a brand on people she left behind the second things got messy. And now, one by one, Hollywood is waking up, walking away, and watching the Sussexes collapse under their weight of their own ruthless ambition. While the headlines once called them a modern fairy tale, those of us paying attention knew better, because the signs were always there, hiding in plain sight. From Meghan's sudden distance with her lifelong friends to the way she seemed to climb every rung of the social ladder by stepping over the very people who lifted her up. And no one knows this better than Jessica Mulroney, the woman who wasn't just a friend, but the architect of Meghan's royal image, the stylist who dressed her, the planner who organized her wedding, the confidant who stood by her side through every scandal and secret, even letting her own daughter serve as a bridesmaid alongside Princess Charlotte. And yet, when controversy came for Jessica in 2020 over a social media spat, Meghan didn't hesitate to sever the bond. Not privately, not gently, but publicly and brutally, allowing her PR machine to erase Jessica from the narrative like she'd never existed. And what makes it worse isn't just the silence, it's the fact that Jessica never once spoke against her, never leaked private conversations, never clapped back even as her TV shows were canceled, her brand deals were dropped, and her career unraveled in real time. All because Meghan decided she was no longer useful. And just when you thought Meghan's silence toward Jessica was cold enough, enter Tyler Perry, the man who didn't just offer her and Harry a roof when they fled the palace, but gave them a lifeline, opened his Beverly Hills mansion, protected them from media firestorms, and even became the godfather to their daughter Lilibet. And yet now, as Perry faces a career-threatening $260 million lawsuit filled with explosive allegations of misconduct and manipulation on his own production sets, Meghan hasn't uttered a single word of support, not even a public thank you, not a private defense, not a whisper of solidarity. And the silence isn't just deafening, it's strategic. Because if Perry's name becomes toxic, the Sussexes don't want to go down with the ship. And the cold calculation exposes everything. This was never about friendship. It was about leverage, image, optics. And now that Perry is no longer a PR asset, he's being treated like dead weight, discarded just like Jessica, proving again that in Meghan's world, loyalty is a one-way street that ends the second the cameras stop rolling. And what makes this unraveling even more explosive is that Tyler Perry's lawsuit isn't just a headline, it's a Hollywood earthquake, with actor Derek Dixon coming forward to accuse Perry of horrifying abuse masked as mentorship, detailing private meetings at Perry's Atlanta compound, the same place where Meghan and Harry once lived with their children, the same safe haven Perry offered them during their darkest days, now being described in court filings as a site of manipulation and misconduct. And while Perry's legal team calls it a cash grab, the damage to his image is undeniable. And yet again, the Sussexes say nothing, not one sentence, not even a vague statement of concern. And that's not loyalty, it's cowardice wrapped in silence, because they know that defending him now could backfire, but abandoning him makes them look heartless. So they choose nothing, hoping the storm passes without staining them, when in reality, Their refusal to speak is speaking volumes, revealing just how transactional every relationship in their orbit truly is. And the fallout is just beginning, because industry insiders are already whispering what the headlines won't say. Tyler Perry's break from Meghan and Harry wasn't just legal. It was personal, triggered by one final act of entitlement so bold it shattered what little trust remained. Because after everything, after the lawsuit hit, after the silence grew louder, Meghan still had the audacity to ask Perry for access to his private jet again. As if nothing had changed, as if his generosity was a lifetime subscription she could redeem at will. And that was the breaking point. The moment Perry realized he wasn't a friend, he was a resource, a name, a stepping stone. And insiders say his refusal wasn't just about logistics. It was a message, loud and final. The free ride is over, the favor faucet is off, and the days of Meghan treating him like her personal escape hatch were done. And what followed was swift and brutal legal scandalous letters. Netflix executives panicking, Hollywood quietly distancing itself, and Perry's inner circle leaking just enough to make sure the industry knew exactly what happened. Because in Tinseltown, when a kingmaker like Perry cuts you off, it's not just bad, it's terminal. And as Perry's rejection ripples through Hollywood, the dominoes start falling faster than anyone expected. Because the moment he cut ties, other celebrities who had been quietly skeptical of Meghan and Harry suddenly found the courage to pull back too, with party invites disappearing, production deals stalling, and even a list allies choosing distance over drama. And now talent agencies like Carr reportedly advising their biggest stars to avoid any public alignment with the Sussexes. Not out of malice, but out of brand protection. Because the Whisper campaign has turned into a thunderstorm and no one wants to be caught in it, especially not when Meghan's pattern is becoming impossible to ignore. Use people for status, discard them in crisis, and stay silent when loyalty matters most. And what makes it worse is how blatant it's become, with Jessica Mulroney staying silent for years out of dignity while her life fell apart. And Perry getting dragged into one of the biggest lawsuits in entertainment history while Meghan just fades into the background, hoping no one notices that the woman who once preached empathy and loyalty won't even lift a finger for the very people who built her platform. And now the consequences are catching up, because this isn't just a reputational hit, it's a full-blown collapse, with Meghan and Harry watching their entire Hollywood strategy implode in real time as Netflix execs scramble behind the scenes. HBO Max cancels quiet talks for new content, Amazon ghosts their podcast proposals, and even Disney, once eager to work with Meghan on voice projects, suddenly goes radio silent. And this isn't coincidence, it's contagion. Because when someone like Tyler Perry, a man with untouchable power, walks away from you, it's not just a red flag, it's a blaring siren that says you're toxic. And that's exactly how the industry is treating them now, like a liability, like a ticking PR time bomb that could drag down anything it touches. And the irony is brutal, these are the same two people who once sat with Oprah claiming to have been silenced, and now when their friends are screaming for support, they're the ones doing the silencing. And the message Hollywood is hearing is clear. If Meghan Markle could ice out her best friend of 20 years and abandon her child's godfather at the height of a crisis, what would she do to someone with even less history or importance? And what seals the deal isn't just what Meghan did, it's what she didn't do. Because the world was watching when Tyler Perry's lawsuit went public, when the media exploded with details about alleged misconduct, when social feeds lit up demanding statements, accountability, or even the smallest show of concern from Harry and Meghan. And yet they said nothing, not even a whisper, not even a vague post about support or belief in due process. And that silence didn't come from confusion, it came from calculation. Because they weren't waiting for facts, they were waiting for odds, for the legal tide to shift so they could decide which side to stand on. And that level of strategic coldness is exactly what Tyler Perry's inner circle is now leaking. Describing how Meghan allegedly violated his trust by using private footage filmed inside his home in their Netflix documentary without explicit consent, turning a place of refuge into a production set and a friendship into content. And when Perry found out, he didn't just get angry, he got lawyers involved, sending cease-and-desist letters that signaled loud and clear that the days of quiet tolerance were over. And from that moment, the Hollywood machine began turning against the Sussexes in full force. And with every bridge burned, every door closing, Meghan and Harry are left scrambling to hold together a crumbling empire built on borrowed influence. Because this wasn't just about Jessica or Tyler or a few bad headlines, it's about a consistent pattern of using people up and discarding them the second they become inconvenient. And now the industry is finally saying what it's been thinking all along, that the Sussex brand isn't built on purpose or integrity, it's built on opportunism. And the moment you stop serving their image, they vanish. And that's exactly what happened to Jessica, who stayed loyal and silent even as her world unraveled, and to Perry, who risked his legacy to protect them, only to be met with strategic silence when he needed support the most. And now, as their phones stop ringing, as meetings get canceled, as former allies back away in waves, Meghan and Harry are watching the spotlight they chased so desperately turn cold. Because you can fool the media for a while, you can script a narrative, but you can't fake loyalty forever. And when that curtain finally drops, what's left isn't royalty, it's reputation ruined in real time. And now, with Tyler Perry gone, Jessica Mulroney erased, and Hollywood turning its back one silent step at a time, the truth about Meghan and Harry can no longer hide behind curated interviews and Netflix edits, because this isn't just the collapse of a brand. It's the exposure of a pattern, a blueprint of ambition built on relationships that were always one-sided. And what makes it so devastating isn't the drama, it's the betrayal, the cold refusal to show up for the very people who showed up for them, the silence that screams louder than any scandal ever could. And as the Sussexes continue to drift further from the spotlight they once dominated, their fall serves as a warning to everyone watching. When loyalty is a tool and friendship is currency, eventually the bill comes due. And in Meghan and Harry's case, Hollywood just sent the final invoice with Tyler Perry's name signed at the bottom, and every door that once opened wide now locked tight behind it.